Thanks, Scott, and hello, everyone. My name is Pedro Cardoso, the Data Ninja, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today, broadcasting from my data lair here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm joined by my colleague, Tyler Wharton, the data mixologist, and we both work for an organization called Synity, where our mission is to accelerate global and human progress by solving one data challenge at a time. And speaking of data challenges, we're here to talk about MDM, and our topic, why no one cares about MDM. And I know you came into this thinking, who let these guys in the room? Of course we care about MDM. You care about MDM. That's why we're here. The problem is sometimes MDM projects fail. Maybe you've heard of one or two. I'm sure none of yours. Tyler and I, we've seen more than our share, and so have many others in our organization. See that MDM Wasteland over there on the slide? See those two folks walking around? They don't care about MDM right now. MDM promised them something, and this is not what they signed up for. So I'm here to help you think differently about that MDM program that maybe you're embarking on, and try to help you avoid that MDM Wasteland. Are you ready? So number one, think outcomes first. Begin with the end in mind. Have you ever watched one of those movies that starts with the end in mind? Think Usual Suspects, Kill Bill, Gandhi. I mean, this technique has been used for decades. And why do people like that? Well, first of all, you know where you're headed. And you spend the entire movie trying to figure out how are these people going to get there. And because you know, and they don't, sometimes it's painful. You want to get them to do something, they're doing something else, you know it's going to end badly. Same with MDM projects. Starting with the end in mind, knowing what that business outcome is, gives you focus. If you have that focus, you can make sure that you're spending the limited resources you have where it matters. More importantly, you're not spending it where it doesn't. It also ensures that if you know where you're going, you can actually measure how you're doing today. We call that a baseline. If you know that baseline, you know if you're improving. You know how much benefit you've actually been able to achieve. You can actually come back to your stakeholders and get credit for the things that you've been doing. So that's number one. Think outcomes first. If you're thinking outcomes first, that allows you to focus on number two, which is look at the data and think about the data that counts. So this is all about working smarter, not harder. See these guys? They're trying to push a truck. The two guys down the ground, their hard work counts. That guy up top, he may be doing something, but it's not helping move that truck. It's the same with data quality. Data quality is not an outcome in itself. Not all data is created equal, and you need to focus on the data that matters. At Synity, we call that business relevant data. And if you're focusing on the business relevant data, that means you can deliver data early and often because your stakeholders expect that. So if your MDM program isn't delivering business value at least once a quarter, you need to find out why, because you might be headed for an MDM wasteland. Number three, let the data do the talking. Data is like the canary in the coal mine. Have you heard that story? Way back, we don't do this anymore. It's cruel. We used to lower those canaries into the mine. Those canaries were pretty sensitive to carbon monoxide. If they stopped moving, heaven forbid, they stopped breathing, you knew it was time to get out of there. They were the early warning detection system for those miners. That's the same thing with data. That's how you become data-driven, not data-biased. You use data first as a control point to really tell you what's going on that you cannot see. When Fred in procurement tells you that we rarely use that one-time vendor process, we always create our vendors properly. Every time. We used that years ago. Well, the data might say that, actually, Fred, you've used that process about 85 times this year so far, and yesterday, Sally did it twice. You may want to go talk to Sally. So That's how you use data to tell you what's going on when you don't know. But data can't tell you the full story. You need to own that story. You need to control that storyline. Maybe Sally, maybe she's doing the best job she can. Maybe she's using that one-time vendor process because Charlie, up in procurement, he's not maintaining that master data relationship between ship to and sold to properly. And Sally, she's got to get that stuff out the door. She has no choice. But Charlie, that's where the problem lies. So that's a different story. That's a different problem, and probably a bigger problem. You need to control that narrative. Data alone can't tell your story. Data quality. Why don't we treat data quality like water quality? Imagine if we treated water quality how we handle data quality. Here's some water. Hold on. What? Don't drink that water? Might not be the water you're looking for? Okay. Good thing that doesn't happen. Do you want to pay your data scientists to spend half their time wrangling data, munging data, before they get to use it in their algorithm or in their visualization dashboard? Seriously? And that brings us to number 4. Think right the first time. We talk about fixing data at the point of production, not the point of consumption, just like water quality. Fix it once, reuse it many times. Let everybody consume it. You may sit there and say, if we could fix data right the first time, it'd be a perfect world. We'd be in MDM nirvana. That's not really possible, is it? Well, it turns out it is. We have the tools, we have the technology, we know how to do it. The secret to everyday data quality is making data quality something that becomes part of what the business does as they do. It can't be something extra. No one has time for extra. It has to become a lifestyle thing. It's like diets. Diets aren't sustainable. Lifestyle change, that's sustainable. Same with data quality. Data quality as a lifestyle. DQAAL. The longer bad data goes through your system, the more expensive it is to fix, the more damage that it can do. You want to fix it as early as possible. And of course, you may not be able to get it right the first time, but you want to catch it as soon as you can and get that fixed. Think of a falling knife. Do you want to catch a falling knife? If you catch it as soon as you drop it, not too bad. Let that thing drop about 10 feet, try to catch it then, it could do a lot of damage. The best thing to do is don't drop the knife right the first time. And number 5, the final tip. Think data is born good but raised poorly. I like to say there's no such thing as bad data, just bad parents. I know, but think about it. Love comes naturally, but parenting is a learned skill. This is probably how I felt when I brought my daughter home about 17 years ago. I had no idea. I had to learn. Gartner says data literacy is essential to be part of a data-driven culture. We have to champion data literacy on your projects and teach data as a second language. At Synity, we say strategy first because we know you have to lean into the people and process discussion. You got to park that tech talk. Look, I'm techie. We know technology is great, but that's not where the conversation starts. You got to figure out where you want to go, figure out why you can't get there today, who are the people you need to help you get there, and you got to learn and grow together. Remember, love comes naturally. Parenting is a learned skill. Same thing with data. It's a learned skill. So that's it. We've arrived. No MDM Wasteland in sight. I hope this helps you understand how you can think differently about your MDM project. Understand that your MDM project can't be an IT project. It can't be a technology-led project because the business owns the data and the business processes actually shape that data into what it becomes. And guess who runs your business processes? People. So remember, the business owns the data. Don't lead with tech. Stop talking about data. I know data is important, but you don't have to lead with data. Lead with outcomes. The data will follow. Be data driven. So without further ado, Act 2, Tyler's coming up. He's going to talk to you about how to actually tell that data story. We'll see you in a bit. Thanks.